Welcome to your Leo horoscopes for the week of the 5th through the 11th of May. And you'll probably notice there was no horoscopes last week. I'm so sorry. But last week was recovery week. And you guys will understand, being that Leo's focus is on self this week, that self-care is really, really important. And unfortunately, that means that sometimes self-care is I can't get to this right now. I literally just can't get to this. Either I'm not going to, I don't have the energy, I don't have the mental capacity. I'm just not going to give a quality product, which is really why there was no horoscopes. There was zero time, and there just was not going to be a quality product if I tried. So I apologize. I hope you guys forgive me, and if you don't, that's okay. Focus is on self, no planet in Leo this week. We are going to have some moon action next week, so we'll leave that to next week and just enjoy focusing on us this week. I'm sorry, focusing on you this week. I'm not, here I am talking like I'm a Leo, and I totally am not. But here's something else that's very interesting about focus on self. A lot of times when you're focused on self, of course, we talk about self-care. We talk about checking in with yourself and making sure that you are taking care of your needs. But one of the things about focus on self that's really important also is checking in realistically and honestly with yourself on certain bad habits that we all have. Everybody has bad habits. For instance, it's very easy, to be in a situation where you're very positive about something, and then somebody says something, and all of a sudden your positivity dwindles a little bit, and the worry takes over. And then, you try to micromanage it and over control it, and pretty soon you beat it to death. It's really important for us to check in and understand what our flaws are, because we're human beings and we have flaws, and it's okay to have flaws. Nobody's saying you need to get rid of your flaws, but also by doing this, it really helps you to be able to identify those particular things that continue to hold you back over and over and over again. And identifying those things is number one, because number two is working with them in a more positive way, not eliminating them, but working with them in a more positive way. Let me explain. Procrastination, which fixed signs have in abundance, and Leo is a fixed sign. Procrastination is one of those flaws that a lot of people have. And I have to say that at times, procrastination actually worked in my favor. Let's think about this. Somebody comes up to you and says, I really would like to do this, and you throw everything you have into it. And then 2 days later, they go, you know what? Just don't have time to do this right now, so we're just going to scrap it. Think of all the work you put into it in 2 days of something that just wasn't going to happen, and it was a waste of time. You could have been focusing that time on something else. So I tend to procrastinate those things a little bit, just because that way, if I'm putting the work into it, I'm putting the work into something that is actually going to happen. And that's really important in this day and age. You really can't afford to waste time on anything. The another thing is worry. Nobody is without worry, and worry unfortunately makes you micromanage, makes you control things, puts you in a situation that can be extremely stressful all the time. And that kind of energy is just not, it's not wanted, it's not needed, it's not helpful. So by taking the time this week to check in on some of those parts of you that may need a little bit of work, I think as human beings, we tend to avoid looking at our flaws because we don't want to see them. And in my opinion, that is absolutely irresponsible, because what we also don't see is that our flaws tend to make our decisions. And when our flaws are making our decisions, we're not getting very far. We want to be successful, and therefore we want to keep those flaws in check, or use them to our advantage. Now, manipulating somebody else with our flaws is not using them to our advantage. Obviously, we want to do everything in the highest good of everybody around us. So, I'm not trying to say turn into a narcissist overnight. That's not a good idea. And that's a major, major, major flaw, by the way, in case you don't know. So take the time, check in, see what needs to be tweaked a little bit. See what you need to make plans to work on in the long term, because some of these things, they do take time. Many of these things have emotional roots that go way, way, way back into your history. So, but the first step is always identifying and being aware that they are there and making a point to make sure that you are not making decisions based on those flaws, because that usually doesn't work out very well. So that's what I have for you guys this week. I'm Melissa Bruce, Heavy Metal Psychic. I will see you next week. You guys, I expect you to make it a great week because you're Leos and it's all about you this week. And why the heck not, right? Make it a great week. I will see you next week.